Hey guys, Lineage Devotee here again. This is my review of the enemy territory, Apoka Warpack, with its nice guns on the cover there. Alright, let's see what they got. So first up we have a Orc Warlord in this Warpack, Corporal Snagbrat. I'm always interested in, back in the day there used to be translations for the Orc words. And Snagbrat I don't think quite fits into any of the translations they used to have, but it's cool artwork. I really like that. It looks like a blood axe to me. He's a little bit more properly equipped as a soldier rather than just carrying a bunch of weapons. He's a little bit more organised, and the blood axes were always keen on imitating some of the aspects of human organisation that they admired. So that's really cool. The background art looks like it's from a different... I thought the background art of the warlords was typically from the event or the attachment, but that looks like different warlord art, background art. Or maybe it's Soot Blackened Axe. No, it's different art. Okay. And he can move deep strike cards. I saw someone mention that means he's got the ability to move deep strike, put a card in reserve, move it, and then in the command phase, move it again, and then you could actually do it in the combat phase before a battle at a planet. So you could be up to 2 or 3 planets away from where you put it in reserve before you actually deep strike it. So that's quite a manoeuvrable ability with the sorts of things that you might be able to put in deep strike. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. I know Miserable Toad from the Auckland gaming stores, he really likes deep strike, and he's really intrigued by the Orc deep strike potential. So we'll see what he comes up with. Okay, the army unit for Corporal Snagbrat is Snagbrat Scouts. Gotta say that doesn't look particularly like a scout to me. It looks a little bit brutal for a scout, but to be fair, Orc Scouts are a bit like that, aren't they? It's 2 cost, and it's deep strike 1. So basically, there's no benefit to deep striking it other than its reaction, which is sort of fair. It's pretty good stats for a 2 cost unit. 2/3 with 1 hammer is pretty good, almost without anything else going on, and with deep strike you can move him around quite well. When the command phase begins, deep strike him to gain 2 command icons, so it's after the command phase begins, which means it's actually before you commit your warlord. So the command hammers will have an effect, and there's no reason to not do that ever, as far as I can see. Commando Cunning, it's a nice phrasing. I feel like Cunning maybe should have a K at the beginning, or no G at the end maybe, but that's fine. Deep strike a card without paying the cost. That's cool, that makes sense. It does mean you could do a, what's that, ranged elite Imperial Guard Scion Strike Force, I think it's called. So you could pay 1 and have a ranged 3-4 unit at a planet. Just like that. That's pretty intense. Unless I'm wrong about that, but I don't think I am. Soot Blackened Axe. I might be missing something. I know there was the Soot Blade Assassin, and I never understood why it was called that. And then this is Soot Blackened Axe. What's with the soot thing? I feel like I might be missing something. Does anyone know what that's all about? But it's Deep Strike 0, so cool. It costs 1 attack, 1 HP, so yeah, it's fine. But also you can drop it back into reserve, and then it's free to deep strike back onto somebody else potentially. In fact, you could put it in reserve, and then your warlord could move it to the next planet that you're going to fight at as an action, and then you could deep strike it there for free. But when you put it into reserve, you can also move 1 damage from whoever had it to a non-unique unit. Non-unique, that's quite nice, so it won't be your warlord, and there's a few other things that are protected from that, so that's quite cool. And it does target, so you could backlash it. Finally, the support for Corporal Snagbrat is the fake Umi base. Umi, not Uman. I reckon it should be Umi, but that's cool. Big gunnery turret thing looking there. A fake Umi base. See, the Blood Axes, traditionally back in the day at least, wanted to be as good fighters as the Imperium. They thought the Imperium fought so well and was so destructive and brutal, they wanted to do it just like them, and so they sort of mimic Imperial attitudes. It's where you get Commissar orcs, you know, dressed up as Commissars, because the Commissars are so scary and effective. And the orcs are like, yeah, I'll do it that way. So a fake Umi base makes sense. After an orc soldier, so not too many soldiers, just the Blood Axe ones, pretty much. Chosen as a defender, move it to HQ. So basically, they run away. And if you read the flavour text there, it don't count as losing, because we can also come back for another go, see? That's the Blood Axe creed, is that, you know, just running away just means you get to hit them again later, which is absolutely advanced strategic level thinking and tactics in an orc world, and generally the other clans don't think the Blood Axes are too good to be doing it. You know, they look down on it. But I feel like that's a pretty good fluffy set of stuff there. It's quite cool. Blood Axes hiding and jumping in and getting involved. I think it's very cool. Yeah. There's just the one Space Marines card in this pack, the Deathwing Interceders. 3 cost, 2/4, but no command hammer. That's pretty good average vanilla stats. So it needs a decent effect. Deep Strike 2, so it's still the same cost. There is no reason to not just put this into play rather than Deep Strike it, other than the Deep Strike mechanics themselves. But you can Deep Strike it, so pay the cost, to make it the defender instead of something else, but then you have to return it to your hand at the end. So obviously you have to Deep Strike it, put it in reserve, sorry, to get the effect, but yeah, it's fine. Takes a hit and then jumps out of the way again. I think it's trying to go for that idea of the Deathwing being masters of teleportation technology, which the Imperium only uses personal teleporters with people in Terminator armor. The idea being, personal teleportation basically puts you in a little bubble and sends you through the warp to where you're supposed to end up. And so the Deathwing, being as pure of heart and intent as they are, and being equipped with such impressive armor, can do it very, very well. It's called a Gala field. It's this protective field that normally is around an entire starship and uses psychers on the starship to protect it from the warp while it travels. And that's what's happening when they teleport in. So it's basically this idea that Deathwing jump in, are brutal, and then jump out again. Which is fine. I feel like it doesn't match up with the other Deathwing that was, 5 hammers and 9 health. I feel like this is quite different, and I'm not sure if it should be different or not. I don't know. But the jumping in and out kind of makes sense. I can see that. Okay, and we had a change of cards here. So we sort of got a preview of a card called Lofty Duties that's being held back, and now instead we have Celestian Amelia. Okay, Celestians, as far as I understand, are like personal bodyguards of high-ranking Sisters of Battle. And so we've got Soldier and Ecclesiarchy. Martyr trait, which sounds pretty Sisters of Battle. They have a lot of martyrs, I would imagine. She's 3, 3, 3, 1 hammer. That all makes sense. But she has a unique, which is quite nice. So that's a little bit extra. After an enemy unit is declared as an attacker, while that unit is attacking, all Astra Militarum Imperial Guard units reduce damage 2-1. Reduce all damage taken 2-1. So that's pretty impressive. And it's all other Imperial Guard units. So basically what that means is you hit the martyr first. Otherwise you're not hitting anyone particularly hard. So area effect gets reduced to 1, but otherwise you're going to kill Amelia as soon as you can. Obviously Apoka announced that they're planning to do a expansion pack-sized release of Ecclesiarchy, which I am really interested to see what they come out there. I'm quite interested in seeing Sisters of Battle cards, more to go with Amelia and I can't remember who the other one that we've already got from Great Devourer was. But I'm also interested in seeing like Imperial Missionaries and Repentia and an Exorcist battle tank. What else have they got? The Pain Engine? No, not Pain Engine. There's the Martyr Engine. Oh, there's all sorts of bizarre religious fanatic type deals that come along with the Sisters of Battle, so it'll be quite interesting to see what they do. And they also get a Hydra Flak Tank, a nice iconic unit from the tabletop game there. Flak Tank, pretty self-explanatory, doubles damage against flying or mobile. That doesn't say while attacking, so it's just double damage anything coming from the tank. And after a unit moves to or from the planet, which includes retreating and committing, I believe. Retreating might not, I'm not sure. It just might be committing or, regular movement. But deal 1 damage, which would be doubled on flying or mobile units. And it can only do that once a phase, which is fine. It's great. That's a wonderful card. 3 cost for a 2/3 with that ability, I think is fantastic. Really, really backs up the idea of it. It's a 2 cost for Gorzod, which is pretty impressive, and it's potentially handy for Maxim if he wants cheaper tanks. Cool. So those are 2 really cool cards. I like those 2 cards. Very fun. They'll be good, I reckon. Very fluffy, at least. Just the 1 Chaos card again. 1 card again for Chaos. So this one is a Deep Strike attachment, improvised minefield. Attach it to a planet. After a non-walled unit is declared as an attacker, deal 3 damage and discard the card. So the first thing that takes a swing at the planet gets hit. And potentially before it actually is able to do much damage. Great, makes sense as a minefield. Seems like the sort of thing that Chaos would use. Probably could have turned up in other areas. I suppose you could put it in Orcs, they'd quite like that. Looks like a thing for them. Actually, that could be quite interesting in Orcs, couldn't it? Declare an attacker. Take 3 damage to your Goth, Nob, or whatever. Nazdrig's at the planet. Suddenly they got +3 attack because they're brutal. It's pretty cool. Pretty impressive. Again, the Deep Strike cost is the same as its cost, so there's no incentive to put it in reserve, except for the fact that it's a Deep Strike then and it becomes a secret. I don't know, I just feel like that makes sense. A lot of other people were saying on the Facebook group that makes sense. I just feel like, yeah, but come on, make it a bit more. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It's fine. One more card for one more faction. This one's the Eldar Lost in the Webway. It's a Harlequin event. I'm really keen to see more Harlequins. I love the Harlequins. The Harlequins are the keepers of the Webway. The Eldar aren't able to travel through the warp, or at least they very, very seldom do, because their souls are basically forfeit to Slaanesh. Slaanesh is a god created from the power of Eldar souls. So in the craft worlds, they keep their souls in spirit stones, which are used to run the Wraith Guard and the Wraith Knights, and kept in an infinity circuit, which stores, when the Eldar die, their souls are stored physically in a space. Because if they were allowed to, as usual, the souls release into the warp, Slaanesh would consume them and grow more powerful. So the Eldar travel through a thing called the Webway, which is like tunnels through space-time, I guess. But all of their ancient knowledge is protected inside the Webway by the Harlequins, who are followers of the Laughing God, one of the few gods to survive the birth of Slaanesh. And they travelled through the craft worlds, they travel amongst the Dark Eldar, and they perform ritual songs and dances of the history of the Eldar race. And Harlequins are just ridiculously potent warriors, and graceful and insanely dangerous. So Harlequins. Looking forward to seeing more of them. One of the new Apoka Warpacks they announced down the line looks like it's going to be a Harlequin focused one. I'm very, very looking forward to that. So Lost on the Webway, either swap around your Harlequins because they're being all tricksy and careful, or switch the location of 2 army units for your opponent. I saw someone mention this is very similar to a cheaper Archon's Terror with more shields, because it's got a very similar effect. One of your units just goes away. So this could potentially be incredibly powerful. I really want to see more Harlequins. I really want to see Harlequins that do well with Dark Eldar, but I understand that Harlequins are in the Craft World Eldar section. I'm interested to see if they start doing some Exodite Eldar, which are Eldar that, instead of going onto the Craft Worlds to get away from Slaanesh, and instead of joining the Dark Eldar Society, which is actually in the Webway somehow, a city in the Webway, to get away from Slaanesh, the Exodites wanted to get away from the advanced civilization they had and return to more of a, we might say like medieval style, but still high-tech in a way. But anyway, trying to reduce their civilization, and they live on actual planets, and they traditionally are seen as feral elves sort of thing. And I'd like to see Exodite Eldar turn up, and I guess they'd probably turn up in the Craft World Eldar faction. I just feel like it's kind of like all the Eldar generically, plus the Dark Eldar. Now, it's a bit of a change. Apoka say that they aren't restrained by exactly the same release schedule that FFG was using, and so instead of making sure every faction had particular cards in each Warpack, or spreading out a Warlord's sort of non-signature but really signature cards in a cycle, they were able to say, actually, the Corporal really needs these cards, they're kind of designed to work with him, so we'll just put them in the same Warpack. You get them straight away. They're almost signature cards that are almost signature cards anyway. And it's quite interesting. It's a step towards why not just release the whole thing all at once, or why not just release a whole faction, the Warlord and all its cards, all at once. I think having a release schedule helps keep interest in the game, but also being a dead game is hard. I know they've announced their tournament kits to help actually have events in store, so new cards turning up occasionally and new things to play for reasons to go to the store and play the game could keep a bit more interest going, and if they can sort of spread it out over time and keep people interested over time, that would be quite good, quite impressive. I like the sneaky looting card on that there. That is, I believe it's called a Dune Crawler. It's an Adeptus Mechanicus Loyal Imperium tank walker thing. But the orcs are well known for taking other people's vehicles and adapting them a bit and using them themselves. So you've got these orcs riding around in it, which is just great, glorious. Orcs are one of the most fun things about 40k, I've always thought. They're just fun and silly and angry and violent, and it's good fun. So sneaky looting, 1 cost. If you damage something with an orc soldier, yeah, but then it runs away with some money. So I got something off you, and runs off. I think that's cool. That's great. The Patient Infiltrator. It's a 2-cost army unit. 3/2 with a hammer, which pretty good for a 2-cost unit. I'd be pretty happy just straight up as that. Again, deep strike cost is of no influence on cost. However, it gains deep strike as an action during the combat phase, which is like the FFG, stealth squad. So very similar there. You put it in reserve and you don't have the hammer, but you get to drop it up as a combat surprise, which is a big hit, really. And then otherwise, it's just a 3/2 with a hammer, which is not bad. But also, when you react, sorry, when you deep strike it, there is a reaction. It will be able to be readied and move and damage to another target unit. Definitely orc theme, we've seen that sort of thing before. Potentially incredibly dangerous, because that's basically, what, a 5 damage swing? One off him, one onto another, plus the 3 of him swinging. That's a heck of a lot for 2 resources. I have a feeling that I saw a lot of people say that this card was pointless when it was sort of previewed by Apoka. I think it could be really, really dangerous, that card. I think it could become quite a problem, because it's really not that expensive. So I'll be interested to see how people play that. Okay, the Tyranid cards, 2 of them. Contaminated Convoys. After a phase begins, and until the end of the phase, when an army unit enters play at a planet, put a Termagant token into play at the same planet, and infest it for 1 cost. That's huge. I love the idea of the Contaminated Convoys, because there's so many Tyranid stories of the Tyranids, of a spaceship arriving and discovering that it's infested with Termagants or Rippers or some sort of gene stealers and things like that. That's a great idea. This idea that as they turn up, they're just actually there's monsters amongst us. That's cool. So the Termagant token into play makes sense. In fact, even invest makes sense, but at 1 cost, that's horrifying. It's certainly just really, really horrific for a swarm army. Suddenly you could have an entire field of infested planets, which is quite disturbing. Against an elite-focused army, that's not such a big deal, although it isn't helpful. I think 1 is probably actually alright, because you're aware that it's in play, and therefore you will probably minimise the effect it has on you. But it is a worrying card. But it's thematic. I think it's reasonable. The unique Hive Ship Tendrils support. So that's cool, this idea of the tendrils reaching down out of the sky and sucking all of the resources off the planet after it's already been destroyed. This is the last stage of a Tyranid infestation. There's not usually tendrils from the hive ships while there's many survivors on the planet, because the ship is sucking up all the nutrients that it can to create new Tyranids as it continues. After a unit you control with the hive mind specialization leaves play, put an infestation token on the sport. So I like that as just a way of keeping track. But after you've lost a number of hive mind units, you can sacrifice the support for that cost's worth of a hive mind unit from your discard pile. I think that's a really nice way of just adding a bit of recycling to the hive mind, and because you can put it onto a planet, it could potentially be quite a powerful combat trick. But it's unique, so you can only do the 1. But you could get quite a big one if they've killed a lot of hive mind units. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that is certainly worth giving a try if you're using hive mind. Yeah. Two Tau cards, consumed by the Kindred. The Kindred is the name that's given to Tau units, Tau Crute groups, Crute groups, consumed by the Kindred. The image of it is a bit weird. It looks to me just like a Lord of the Rings scene. I'm not sure why that's associated with the Crute, as I've said before, being cannibals that eat things to take on their qualities. For a while there was a rule in the tabletop version of the game where Crute, if they fought something in close combat, potentially wouldn't follow orders for a little while. They would just stay and eat whatever they defeated. So I'm not sure how the picture matches that. But action, exhaust Crute, sacrifice a non-vehicle, gain that many resources. Perfectly reasonable for that idea there. I think that's really nice. Feeds into the Crute resource sort of theme. Worth trying, I reckon. Would be good to see. The Smuggler's Den at Elevar 4. If you read the story that the Apoka have been providing along with their cards, you'll see that this pack mentions the Smuggler's Den. So this is what's going on here. It's unique, it's 1 cost, that's fine. Pay a resource to return a non-drone attachment and then gain the cost of the attachment. I think that's fine. You sell it, but then you get other things that you could buy. Yeah, I think that's reasonable, should be alright. I'm not quite sure how useful it is. I suppose if you have an ambush platform with your crew, it kind of gives you the ability to dance them around, dance your attachments around a bit. It's a neat idea, so I'd be interested to see if anyone finds a good use for it. The Dark Eldar. Supply line incursion, exhaust support. Really nice, really nice. The Dark Eldar just kind of stopping you being able to do stuff. But if it's a limited card, draw a card and gain a resource. That's just, oh, that's crazy. Exhaust your STC fragment, I get a card and a resource. It replaces itself, literally replaces itself. I think that's amazing. Now, I'm worried, does it make Kith even more difficult to deal with? I don't know. It's a 2 cost for Urian, but it might even be worth it if you're hitting a limited card. It's, costs you 2, but you get 1 back and replace the card anyway. So it could be potentially worth it in Urian. Morn, perfectly reasonable choice if you want to use it. So yeah, that's a great, interesting design card. I like that. Simple too. Nice to see Apoka getting nice, straightforward, simple cards out. The first pack was just a little bit wordy, and they seem to have toned that down, which is good. Mindless Pain Addict. So the Hymenoculi of the Dark Eldars experiment and create weird, crazy creatures. We've seen the grotesque, uber grotesque. We've seen the Twisted Rax, and here is another abomination or creature. It is the Mindless Pain Addict, so it's sort of midway in there. Only 2 cost, really cheap, no command, but it's a 4/4. That's big. Cannot retreat or be routed. That's huge. But when an army unit you control at this planet is destroyed, take control of the unit. So basically, you kill something, but then you have to give it to the other side, who could potentially ready it, and certainly at the end of the turn, it would ready, and then they'd swing with it, and you'd get it back. So that's really interesting maths of who's going to win. You've really got to think through how's the maths of this going to work. I'm interested to try it out. I have no idea how to use it. It's one of those ones that I'm just going to throw down at a planet and be like, well, let's see what happens, because could do anything. Yeah, very interested to see how that one ends up. And part of what makes it quite a neat design there is that it gives that impression of it just rampaging through the entire army. It's just going to hit everybody at the end of the day. It's going to be the last thing standing, or it's going to go down fighting against everyone. And that's cool. I like that. I'm very pleased with that idea. Necrons. We have the Necrodermis, which is the self-repairing, incredibly strong material that the... actually, I think it's the Satan are made of Necrodermis and not the Necrons themselves. The star gods, the crazy energy beings that are the Satan, and they're made of this material, Necrodermis, that just is really indestructible and, as I say, repairs itself. So it's 2 shield, that's cool. Play only during a battle, that's cool. When your warlord would be defeated by taking damage, yep. Remove all that damage instead. Oh, at the end of the phase, or when another Necrodermis is played, you lose. What? So apparently, your warlord survives what would otherwise be a a death by assassination hit, and then you either win right now or you are going to lose. And if you're playing against another Necron, they can go, oh, well, fair enough, you played Necrodermis, I will too, and now that person loses the game. I'm assuming that then that kicks in. Oh yes, because they haven't played another Necrodermis, so it's only you that gets hit. Bizarre card. Bizarre card. I'll be very, very keen to see it being used. I really like these cards that are just so, like, they don't fit into any particular warlord, they're just wacky, and I love to see that, to see what other ideas could start to grow out of that. They also have a Tombblade Diversionist, so we've seen the Tombblade before. It's a hover vehicle with a big gun on it, and that's about all you need to know. 3 cost, do 3 with a hammer, that's all good. It's a vehicle, cool. That means it can be given quantum shielding, which is quite nice. After an enemy army unit resolves an attack, if you didn't attack the Diversionist, you get a damage on your attacker. Because it zooms around and goes pew pew, does some damage. Cool, quite fluffy, I think those are quite cool. And that's the end of the enemy territory Warpack. Again, let me know what you think, and go and have a look at the Apoka website to look at their tournament kit, see if it's something that you and your locals might be interested in getting a copy of and trying to get a bit of a game night in, and have a look at what they have planned for their upcoming, the Ecclesiarchy, Sisters of Battle expansion, and the Warpacks for their next cycle, which they say have dual warlords, some sort of a 2 warlord, potentially sort of enemies idea I think they're thinking of there. And let me know what you think. See you later.